Hey guys, it's Will here coming at you with the book review that I've been talking about for a while now, the Pathfinder 2nd edition core rulebook look at. So looking here, we got ourselves here our Pathfinder 2nd edition pocket rulebook. This is the best way I would recommend getting the book just because of how huge it is. Big old back tells you about it. Nice thing is here, and I'll probably have some b-roll of me flipping through the books here, but it is pretty nice for being a pocketbook. They've tried their best this time around to make sure that the pages and stuff matched with the original book, with the large scale book. So there's that. And for comparison, because I have both books, here's the 6th printing core rule book of Pathfinder 1 right next to the core book of Pathfinder 2nd edition. This is a special edition book. It doesn't add anything extra to the thickness. It's just got a fancy faux leather cover here, though it's basically, again, same insides, just on a larger scale, as we can see here, but so on and so forth. So what is 2nd edition Pathfinder? Pathfinder 2nd edition was a response to what the people at Pazio wanted to make, coming forth from Pathfinder 1 when they were still under the 3.5 OGL license, so they had to make things in a set rule restriction, which when that contract expired, they released this book, the Pathfinder Unchained. And what this did was, and I'll have more stuff here. What this does was it introduced things that would change the mechanics about stuff. Basically, if you played Pathfinder 2nd edition, a lot of this is going to be that familiar. So it introduced a lot of more roleplay-esque, more unique skill stuff. Introduced changing alignments, but the barbarians, how they work in 2nd edition, came from here. Rogues and stuff, wound thresholds and things like that, all were in here. Basically, this was Pathfinder 1.5. This was a more roleplay, more unique version of Pathfinder, and I actually liked this a lot more with 2nd edition Pathfinder, where, I've talked about it. There's a podcast with me and some of the boys from the old podcasts and work. If you guys want to take my view on Pathfinder versus D&D. But basically, my biggest problems with Pathfinder 2nd edition was a few things, and we'll go into that soon enough here. But basically this is one of my favorite role-playing games next to Shadowrun. Shadowrun is my all-time favorite role-playing game. We have made some characters on here from, on stream. We've tried. We might attempt again, but who knows. But basically, flipping through here, we can start out with your character creation, and that's the first talking point I'll talk about on here, is that when you make your character on this book here, you kind of have like your class, and just like in 5th edition D&D, you have your choices, and making a character class is super, and character is a lot more organic than I find in, say, in D&D, where this one is, you have your point buy is the main way of doing it. You start with a flat thing, and then as you go through answering basically like a quiz on a shady website, like what Power Ranger are you, you'll change your alignments and your features for your race, which with D&D 1 is trying to do with the whole, like, you can mix races, or each race will have sub races that you can choose, and they'll have abilities being more interactive. This kind of had that, but on a more, like a realistic, more balanced version. Like, it was a lot less insane. Like, everyone had to feel like you had a bunch of these unique abilities, though not to say that you didn't get abilities. You did get abilities, but a lot of them were more passive, more unique to change you to a slight role play aspect, but not be hugely meta building. Though to say that meta building isn't a thing, every game's going to have it. You're going to find ways to make something work, especially with your group is going to change the meta. But besides that, I liked all that part. And then you get into the classes. The classes are kind of cool. So Pathfinder 2nd, where it does over, like, what Pathfinder 2nd does over 1st is that it brings the, like, the feats and the leveling up together into one system. It's, not to say that there isn't universal feats, there is still those. They did bring it so that when you build your class, you're just like features in D&D 5e, your feats get chosen at level 2, so it kind of helps remove that sense of choice paralysis while giving you stuff to make your class unique, feel different. And that is another great reason why I love Pathfinder. The rules allow that no matter sort of what class you're playing, unless you're, doing Adventures League back, or Pathfinder Society way back in the day, or even nowadays too, you won't find a class that is exactly the same as somebody else. Somebody will always find something unique about it, and the class leveling in this game allows for that. And if I can flip to a section here to show that off, I will show you. So this is and it also shows you like quick builds too. Do you like the sound of a class thing? It'll tell you what to take, and you just follow that as you level up. But this is the Thief, and I don't know if you can see it quite well, probably not, but right here you have your different feats that you get to choose at your level. Your little guide here if you want to choose a unique character. If not, I'll have screenshots and B-roll for this. But as you level, you can choose. You basically and again, here's the wizard, but you get not on my face. You get choices here, so you get your default things where you'll get second level, your skill increases. 3rd level, you get deny advantage for a thief. But then when you hit 4th level, that's when you get to choose your features, your feats for that class, and that's how you build your subtype. And again, it feels more natural than just being like, oh, I have to be a Hexblade Warlock Tiefling, because it combos so well. The role play basically has rules for it, which is really nice, whereas 5th edition, and I'll say again, to emphasize, 5th edition as a intro level entryway gateway drug of role-playing, just like 4th edition was a great way to get somebody in. But I find that just like going to a restaurant and always just ordering a cheeseburger or something, even though they may have unique foods that your people in your family can't make at home, it just feels like people aren't expanding and trying to go more advanced, and you're always trying to adapt something to the system. Whereas with Pathfinder, I found that it looked like a hard system to get into, which, to be fair, if you're going into this blind and you just see the big book, where is it? The large edition of the book is going to be a little bit thinner because the pages are wider, but when you pick this up from your shelf, because a lot of game stores are going to have this pocket edition, yeah, it's going to look pretty thick compared to a 5th edition book, which is maybe a quarter of the size. So when you're picking this up, you're like, oh, where do I start? It can be kind of a handful, but trying out 5th edition and then being like, okay, I like 5th edition, but I want rules for grappling, I want more in-depth rules, I want to do more cool things, I want to have firearms and stuff, and without having official stuff, or being more in control, especially as a DM, you want to have the world be yours. This is the perfect for that. You get a feeling of 5th edition while being unique and being more in depth. It is how I always like to sell it, is 5th edition is Dragon Age the game, and this is Dragon Age the dev kit. So if you wanted a rule for something, it's in there. But as a player, it literally guides you, and it does a lot better way of doing this than 1st edition Pathfinder did, where it naturally guides you through basically role-playing your character to build it and choosing your class. And then as you progress, combat's going to feel just like 5th edition with Pathfinder flavor, where you can do more unique, cool things and have it for those who want to be rules crunchy, which, to be fair, Pathfinder does kind of lend a little bit to people who like rules. They like reading rules. I'm personally one that likes to have it as an option, but I always go against the rules, or I always change it on the fly as a DM. So it's nice to have, but I don't need it. And I tell my players that all the time. And we enjoy it. We really like it. We like having the guidelines to do stuff. And if somebody makes something at home, I can feel safe that they have the book and they followed it. And true enough, they did. And it balances itself out. But going into that with they brought back, the traditional classes that you all know and love. Your barbarian, your thief, your rogue, whatever you want to call it. But they have added a few new ones. They've added the alchemist, which was in the advanced player's guide, which basically was an add-on to the rulebooks if you wanted to be even more advanced and have some unique things like inquisitors, alchemy, guns, stuff like that. It was in there. And I need to pick up the gears and gun thing for Pathfinder 2nd still. The only one I can find is a special edition hardcover, and I don't want that. I just want the regular cover. But it had that stuff, and again, you didn't need it to play it, but it was nice to have. I loved reading the rules. It was nice laid out. But they do change some things again, more again on that role play side of things, where the paladin really isn't the paladin anymore. This is one of the biggest changes that they've made. If I can find it, it's called the champion now, I'm pretty sure. Humans, like races, as I've looked for this, all have like traits and abilities, places to go. They roleplay explaining things. You can make half whatever you want now. Your races have sub-races to their sub-races. You can be that like outstanding character. Backgrounds are in here now, just like 5th edition. It's a lot more role play while still having guidelines for the rules for role playing. So those who loved the crunchy combat system of Pathfinder can still be there, while the person who loved the role play of 5th edition will also be at home at the same time. And it's just this really nice balance. Though again, with all role playing games, there's so much stuff in it, you can't fully balance it 24/7. Though they do work to balance it, and as a group and a DM, that's part of what you do. You come together and change the things. It is your game. But as you can see here, the paladin is now called the champion, and this is one of the big changes on it, which I'm one of my first but again, it is very fluffy and flavorful, and you can choose. And then this is kind of like how they do their alignment with paladins, while still being that role play in their world. But you can change it, and the book is very open to you changing it to be your game. It can be, depending on your alignment, you get like Liberator, you got Paladin, which is your lawful good, you got Redeemer, basically like your Vengeance Paladin, your Truth Paladin, whatever you want. And depending on how you take these in your ancestry backgrounds, you can get an extra ancestral background, which is your race background, if you choose this. And that could be, again, it is a role play based racial feature, which is, you were grown in a paladin order of some sort. It combines a lot of all their big books from Pathfinder 1 in Unchained and smashes it into this one book, while being super easy to follow compared to it. And to say from like a level scale from like 1-page rules to freaking Yolden Day riffs, to like riffs in the scale of difficulty for a new player, I'd say Pathfinder 2nd edition is probably a D&D 5.5. Whereas like your tutorial level is your 1-page rules, GURPS with a group, or especially if you're coming in GURPS, asterisk, DM is guiding you, because GURPS can be complex if you don't have like someone's like, we're playing this setting, role play, I make the rules for you. That's how GURPS works really well. So on that being the tutorial level, then 5th edition being that little, when you download a modern day video game, how there's like the loading and like is like now playable, but you can only really do like the tutorial mission or something. Like that's 5th edition D&D. 4th edition, actually 5th edition might be the first level after the tutorial. 4th edition is definitely the complex if you decode it first. But anyways, allegory is going too long. GURPS, Rifts / Fear, those big games. 5th edition, Pathfinder. So there's that little gap. Pathfinder 2nd. And then Pathfinder 1 would be in the middle, I'd say. And then Shadowrun, so on and so forth. But this is a great, if you want to try something different, if you want to get away from Wizards and play something unique, something yours. But this is a great alternative that will make people feel at home trying a new system and be willing to try. Maybe next session after they play this, you want to really show them Cyberpunk or Cthulhu. They'll be more willing to try it. And this book is definitely very helpful. Being in a group who wants to start together. And again, this is without the starter boxes, which we'll get into after my gripes with this. But positives, closing this off here, my positives for this is my pros is easier to learn, very natural character development and role play heavy choices, while also giving you mechanic and metagaming min-maxing choices alongside it, having rules for when you want a complicated action happens, and having in-depth rules for a wide variety of settings and uniqueness that you want to do in your campaign, while still being valuable for its price, crunchy, and well developed. And the every other positive to a role-playing game, that 5th edition, all the positives that 5th edition have is in here, while being not super watered down, so that any level of veteran from casual new player to veteran can pick this up and it will grow with you, which is nice. Now, going on to the cons of this system. Cons, that initial book pickup, when you pick this thing up, it is weighty compared, even the normal physical hardback cover of it, like large book, it's like picking up a textbook from high school. It's not going to be popular, whereas 5th edition has that brand recognition, though Pathfinder has definitely picked up, and same with Call of Cthulhu, GURPS, other things like that has picked up. It is still not huge, so when someone sees a 5th edition book, it's smaller, they're going to pick it up. Whereas for the same price, if not cheaper, if you get one of these paperbacks, your value is way bigger. But because of that brand, just like how 360 and the PS3 worked, because of that brand recognition, it was better. Even though this may be a better system, that brand recognition and everyone else picking it up, kind of herd pick up, buy, online play, is going to make 5th edition better than Pathfinder. So it has that going against it, though again, it's better now, but it has that going against it. The initial, if you just flip through it, might be a little bit off. But again, it's very natural. It will guide you. Just make sure to follow the pages. Besides that, the other gripes I have with it is the power creep from 1 to 5 is really nice. It feels really smooth. And then once you hit that 6th level, it just jumps. Like reading the DM section, which this is the DM's guide and the player's guide in one. So you don't have to buy like 3 separate books WotC likes to do. And there's some new things going on with 1 edition, which if you want to know more about that, Discourse Miniatures did a video on that. But anyways, those DCs and stuff, like, it just, the power scaling is so huge. They thought big numbers could mean big, huge, makes you feel wow. Like at level 6, if you're in trained skill that you have, you're getting like a plus 20 to your rolls. It's like insane what you can do. And that would, and for a Pathfinder 2nd edition player, that plus 20 is basically like having a plus like 4 in like a plus 6, plus 8 in D&D 5e. So it's just like, when you play both, it's not a huge difference comparative, but like the numbers, they're just like bigger numbers mean better. And I don't really like that. I think they could have, I like how they do it, like how skills work, how your role play, your background can affect and make you better and have specifics. So when you're like role playing, like say you're stuck in a mine and you're trying to figure out your way, and it's like, oh, well, I was raised with dwarves and I learned survival skills, how to find my way through mines and stuff, especially if it was carved. And then you can have your feature for, like, say, a dungeon delving like skill check. You can be like, hey, okay, yeah, sure, just treat it as, master level or professional in this, and then you just get that bonus added to it. You can do a lot of role play and finagle with it, but again, those numbers, it's just a huge power gap. Though it does fix player DC with that number in mind. It just also monsters, you know, double everything gets doubled. You get doubled, they get it doubled, everyone gets tripled, and it's just it wasn't needed. It just feels like they were trying a little too hard. And then my last gripe with it is gear and armor do not matter after, again, that like 10th, like 6th to 8th level. Armor and abilities do not matter. At that point, you should, again, have or created or have the ability to create, based off your class and, you know, roleplay, access to magic items and stuff. And how gear works for leveling now is it's runes. You're basically gem slotting like Diablo on your gear, and that's how you're getting that bonus armor. And though, again, it plays a lot into that roleplay, and it's cool to have runes as an option. I just think having the and again, this is where you can do what you want. We're taking this review in as somebody who plays corely from the rules, who's just getting, like, maybe played a couple of games, who likes having their stuff less pure and less home running, maybe has it homebrewed a lot, hasn't picked up the starter box instead, and you're just kind of like, oh, well, my initial just, you know, couple of plays, this is my view. And that is another big one, just runes and how items and gear and stuff, having those, a lot of prerequisites being fine-tuned to a very specific thing. And then there's no real guides on how to kind of create or custom change it stuff, at least not from my quick flip through about that stuff. Though if you play Pathfinder 1 or been playing for a while, it is very easy to flip it, and there is a section here that tells you how to make your own sort of semi-custom to your own actual magic items and monsters and stuff, so you can balance it. But again, that's more for your advanced player, and that's where, you know, the event where it grows with you section happens. So as a beginner player, you don't have to worry about any of that. You're going to have a fun time naturally building your character. It's going to take a little bit longer because of that. You can't just go straight to a website. You probably could. You could go just straight to a website and be like, hey, make this for me. Like, what's the build? But it is a lot more fun naturally building it than with 5th edition, I find, where it's just a slog to be like, make sure I have the correct, you know, min-max everything. Because somebody else at the table is going to min-max, and then the DM's going to balance for that, and it's just not going to be fun. So somebody who likes to role play, especially as a support character or role play character, while still being able to deal damage, this edition is perfect for you. It will grow with your group. It is a lot of fun. It is very role play while being min-max balanced. It is one of the better rule crunchier, beginner friendly RPGs out there compared to others like Cyberpunk Red, which is, if you want to try the D6 pool system, which I'd highly recommend, is that. But with that going on, I think we've been doing this for long enough, so I want to thank you guys for checking this out. I know it's been long awaited for me to do my review on this Pathfinder. Hopefully I got a bunch of screenshots here that can show up throughout the reading. You can flip through the book with me and stuff like that. Hopefully this has been kind of somewhat helpful with my thoughts on the Pathfinder 2nd edition. Would I recommend it? Yes, I highly recommend this. Check it out online. They're very, very supportive of the online sources for this. They're very much a player first based company, so you can always find all the rules and stuff online for free. You can play the character sheets online, and then if you really like it, pick up the book. It's only like $30 for this. This is $30. It is such value, and I've had this since release, and I've been using it, and it is still glued together. Like, it's a chunky boy. You buy one of these, pass it around the table, you don't have to worry about getting damaged. You can just buy another one, and then you save your hardcover for at home for nice if you really, really like it, the game. And yeah, that's really about it. The starter box, in my opinion, is one Pazio makes some of the best overall branched for their company. They make the best starter boxes out of any RPG I've ever played. The second one was actually the Shadowrun 6th edition starter box, though 6th edition is... We'll get into 6th edition versus 5th edition Shadowrun. That's That's gonna come up, and that one I want to have a guest with me because I know he'll have a lot of thoughts on it. But anyways, that has been my review and my ramble about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. With that, we have a maybe quick little bonus glimpse for you guys to check out what's coming up next for these RPG sit and talk review sort of. Oh, what is this? Oh, is it this? Is it Zombicide, the RPG? This has been the Pathfinder 2nd Edition rulebook review and thoughts on it. We'll see you guys someday, and if you guys want more in-depth rules actually about this, we can do a stream where we actually build a character together, and maybe I'll go more in depth with talking about the rules and stuff. But hopefully you guys enjoy some screenshots, some of the videos. I'm gonna go start my stream now for the Apex stuff. We will see you guys another video. Bye-bye. Click the video. Click it. Click the video. You know you want to. Click it.